Okay, so here we are with another video. So today we'll study about the ear, the skeletal system, some mnemonics about the ear as a whole, and some mnemonics about the skeletal system. So the ear is divided into three parts. First is the external ear, the middle ear, and the internal ear. So let us revise again. The ear is divided into external ear, middle ear, and the inner ear, right? External, middle, and inner ear. Okay, so what does the external ear consist of? The external ear consists of, number one is the ear pinna. Okay. Hmm. It consists of the ear pinna. What is the pinna? I'll show what is the pinna. The X is the auditory meatus. What is the auditory meatus? Auditory meatus is the opening. Auditory meatus, and next is the tympanum. Okay, now so what did we learn? The external ear consists of P-A-T. Okay, P-A-T-E, you remember. Pinna, or auditory meatus, tympanum, and the E for is the external. E for external. Okay, now let's come to this diagram. Okay, it's loading. Let it load. Yeah. So in this diagram, in this section of the, now this is a section like this section like this. Suppose this is the head, and this is what we are seeing in this diagram. We are seeing. Okay, in this diagram we are seeing. So here if we see, the pinna is the outermost particle. The outermost part is the pinna or the auricle. We also say is the pinna or the auricle. Pinna or the auricle is the outermost part. Then is the external auditory meatus. This opening is the external auditory meatus. This opening is the external auditory meatus. Here in the external auditory meatus we have hair cells, earwax, and cerumen. The earwax is also called the cerumen. Earwax has many functions of the earwax. This is the hair, earwax, and cerumen. And so what did we learn in the external? Let us write it again. So whenever you write, there becomes it becomes a, the thing gets embedded in the cortex. So it is P-A-T-E. What is P-E-T-E? P stands for auricle. P stands for auricle. P stands for pinna. A stands for the auditory meatus, external auditory meatus, and T stands for tympanum. E stands for external auditory meatus. EAM we also say external auditory meatus. The hair, earwax, are this cerumen. Now in the middle ear we have three things. Middle ear we have three bones that ossify the sound that coming from, amplify the sound from the external ear to the internal ear. They are malleus, incus, stapes. This mnemonic is miss has. That is, malleus is hammer shaped, incus is anvil shaped, and stirrup is and malleus, incus, stapes. Stapes is stirrup shaped, hammer shaped, anvil shaped, and this is stirrup shaped. Okay, these are the three bones: malleus, incus, stapes. They amplify the sound that is coming from the external ear to the internal ear. Now in the internal ear, let's see. Okay, let's come to here first. Yeah, so we have the three ossicles: malleus, incus, stapes, and their shapes are has. What is has? Has is hammer shaped, anvil shaped, stirrup shaped. Okay, in the inner ear we have the bony labyrinth. The bony labyrinth is in the inner ear. We'll come to that. Where is the labyrinth and all? So in the labyrinth what is the function of labyrinth? The function of labyrinth is, it has two functions. One is the balancing, one is hearing. So now here balancing also is also a function of the ear. Another function of ear is balancing, and hearing is, of course. So hearing is the cochlea. Cochlea is important for hearing, and the balancing. Now whenever there is any deformity or any anomaly in the inner ear, we suffer vertigo. Vertigo is a clinical condition that we often suffer if there is a anomaly in the inner ear. Okay, so balancing we come to vestibular apparatus. It is the dynamic, three semicircular canals, and static autolaser. So all these things are not very much required, but in the inner ear we have the labyrinth. This labyrinth is important. Okay, now let's come to this diagram again. First we'll do the ear part. So in the inner ear, so the junction between the middle ear and this part is the inner. This is the inner ear. Junction between the inner ear and the middle ear, we have two fossa. Fossa are two openings. What are the two openings? The two openings are, one is called fenestra ovalis, that is an oval window. fenestra ovalis. What is the fenestra ovalis? The upper part, the upper hole is the fenestra. The upper hole is the fenestra ovalis. This is the fenestra ovalis. This is the fenestra rotundum. Fenestra rotundum, fenestra ovalis. So upper part is fenestra ovalis, and the lower part is fenestra rotundum. Okay, this opening is also called the secondary tympanum. This is also called the secondary tympanum. Now another function of eustachian tube is equalizes pressure between the middle ear and the cranial cavity. Equalizes pressure between middle ear and this is the middle ear, inner ear, middle ear and cranial cavity. Okay. Now inner ear we have seen the inner ear has the bony labyrinth. Now we will only study about the inner ear. This is the bony labyrinth outside. Bony labyrinth contains what? Bony labyrinth contains perilymph. Bony labyrinth contains perilymph. Membranous labyrinth contains endolymph. So, how to remember bony labyrinth and membranous labyrinth? We see bony labyrinth, B for bony, B for bony labyrinth contains perilymph. So, P is very much alike to B. P is very much alike to B. So, bony labyrinth contains perilymph. Bony labyrinth contains perilymph, and the membranous labyrinth contains endolymph. MEBP. MEBP. Okay, membranous. This outer part in this diagram, this outer one is the bony labyrinth. Bony labyrinth is the outer part, and inner to the bony labyrinth is the this thing, membranous labyrinth. Okay. Next we have the yeah. Next we have the ampulla. This swollen part is the ampulla. This swollen part is the ampulla. We have also seen ampulla in the breast, in the lactiferous ducts and on the breast part. This is utricle. So ampulla, then comes the utricle, then comes saccule. This first is the ampulla, utricle, saccule. Okay. You can also remember AUS, os, os. Okay. Next is the oval window. Not required. This is the cochlea. The cochlea is a part of the inner ear. Cochlea is a part of the inner ear, and cochlea is the actual part that helps us in hearing. Okay. So now we are taking a section like this. We are taking a section from here. We are taking a section like this. We are cutting it. We are cutting a section like this. We are taking a section, and then we are observing. Then we are observing this part. Okay. So we have we have three scala. This is the scala vestibuli. Scala vestibuli is the outer part. Scala vestibuli contains the perilymph. We have also learned that perilymph is also contained in bony labyrinth. Perilymph is also contained in bony labyrinth. Okay. So scala vestibuli, it has the perilymph. Okay. The scala media has the endolymph. Scala media has endolymph, and we also said the membranous labyrinth. Membranous labyrinth contains the endolymph. Okay. And this is the perilymph that is again accumulating here, entire one. And what are these? We have said it already. This is the upper part is the fenestra ovalis, and this part is the fenestra rotundum. We have already said fenestra ovalis and fenestra rotundum. Okay. And this membrane separating the perilymph and the endolymph, that is the scala vestibuli and the scala media, is the Reisner's membrane. This is the Reisner's membrane. This is the anatomy the internal anatomy of the inner ear. So this is the Reisner's membrane that separates the scala vestibuli from the scala media, that is the Reisner's membrane. This helicotrema not required. This scala tympani is the lower part. So upper part is the scala vestibuli, lower part is the scala tympani. V then T. So it is VMT. Scala vestibuli is the upper part. So V is very much alike to U. V is like this, and it's just the curved part is U. M is the middle part, and T is the tail part. Tail means low, tail or low we can say. So tail is the low part. Low part is the scala tympani. This is the basilar membrane. Basilar membrane. This is the organ of Corti. This structure inside is the organ of Corti. Okay. Now let's come to the organ of Corti. So organ of Corti. This is the NCERT has written line about organ of Corti. We are taking a section of the organ of Corti. That means we are now studying the organ of Corti in a very detailed manner. This organ of Corti, we are taking a section and we are studying in this diagram. In this diagram, we'll study the organ of Corti. Okay. So the organ of Corti has the outermost part is the tectorial membrane. The outermost part of the organ of Corti is called the tectorial membrane. This part is called the tectorial membrane. This vibrates, tectorial membrane. Okay. Then we have the basilar membrane. We have already studied here. This is the basilar membrane. This part is the basilar membrane. Resonance membrane. Inside the resonance membrane, we have basilar membrane. This is the basilar membrane. Inside is inside. So resonance membrane is above resonance membrane. Then comes the basilar membrane. This inside one, just beneath the organ of Corti, we have the basilar membrane. So we can see the basilar membrane here. This is the basilar membrane. Basilar membrane we can see. Tectorial membrane is the outer one, tectorial membrane. Then is the basilar membrane. Then with supporting cells. This is the supporting cell. These cuboidal cells in the lower part is the supporting cells. These are the supporting cells. Okay. Then above the supporting cells we have, above the supporting cells with the hair cells. Above the supporting cells we have hair cells. Supporting cell, hair cell. Then above the hair cells, suppose this is the hair cell. Above the hair cells we have stereocilia. Stereocilia. This is the stereocilia above the hair cell. And from each from the junction between the hair cell and the supporting cell, there is the nerve fibers arising. Nerve fibers arising. Which nerve? Cranial nerve, eighth cranial nerve. Eighth cranial nerve that goes to the auditory cortex. Goes to the auditory cortex situated in the upper parts of the brain. So again, now summarizing the textural, this textural membrane, stereocilia, hair cell, supporting cells, basilar membrane, auditory cortex going to the cranial nerve 8. So let's now study what's written. So as the sound travels through the perilymph, first perilymph, and vibrates the organ of Corti, the stereocilia touches the tectorial membrane. So the stereocilia is in close proximity. The stereocilia is in close proximity to the tectorial membrane. They touch the tectorial membrane. They touch the tectorial membrane. So as the sound travels through perilymph, vibrates the organ of Corti, stereocilia touches tectorial membrane. This generates action potential. We have studied action potential in nerve muscle fibers, and is carried to auditory cortex by which nerve? Cranial nerve 8. Which cortex? Auditory cortex. There are many cortexes in the brain. This is the auditory cortex. Okay. Now let's come to the skeletal system. Now skeletal system is divided into two parts: axial skeleton, appendicular skeleton. So we know as a thumb rule, there are how many? 206 bones, right? So 126 is appendicular and 80 is axial. Okay. Now let us break down the axial skeleton. Axial. So axial means the main body, the main trunk, the head and neck, and all these parts from the axial skeleton. So we have bones from the skull, then ribs, vertebral column, sternum. So skull, ribs, vertebral column, sternum. And here in the appendicular we have pelvic, pectoral, hand and leg. Pelvic, pectoral, hand and leg. Okay. Now we'll study the ribs, vertebral column. So first we'll study the skull bones. There are how many skull bones? There are a total of 22 skull bones. 22 skull bones. Hyoid bone. Where is the hyoid bone located? Hyoid bone is located just beneath the tongue. Beneath the tongue is the hyoid bone. The ear we already said malleus incus stapes. There are how many? See in both the sides there are 2. So there are total of 1 into 2, 1 into 2, 1 into 2. So there are total of 6 ear ossicles. 6 ear ossicles. 1 hyoid bone. So 6, 7. We'll count it. Cranium. There are 8 cranial bones. Cranium, 8 cranium bones. What are they? We'll memorize it by pest. It's the mnemonic is pest of. One is parietal, ethmoid, sphenoid, temporal, occipital, frontal. So pest of parietal, ethmoid, sphenoid, temporal, occipital, frontal. These are the 8 cranial bones. Pest is parietal, ethmoid, sphenoid, temporal, occipital, frontal. Occipital, frontal. Okay. And then is 14 is the facial bones, and 2 lacrimal. So we'll study. So the mnemonic is MP de zyada kola manai vomit. So M for maxilla. Then is the palatine bone, nasal bone. Then is zygomatic, concha, inferior concha, superior concha, lacrimal bones, mandible, and the vomer. So 2 maxilla, 2 palatine, 2 nasal, zygomatic, concha, mandible, vomer. We are done with the muscles of head and the skull. Now we come to ribs. 24 ribs, 12 into 2, 24 ribs. The first 7 are true ribs because they are attached individually to the sternum. This is the middle sternum, middle bone is sternum. They are attached to one. So now let's count them. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They attach individually to sternum, so they are called true ribs. What is the true ribs? Why true ribs? Because they attach individually to sternum. 8th, 9th, and 10th ribs are false ribs because they merge with the 7th rib. That is why they are called false ribs. And 11th and 12th are floating ribs because they are not attached to sternum. That is why they are called floating ribs. Okay. Now next is the 26. Next 26 vertebral column. So it is 7 cervical. Cat took 5 little. 5 cat took 5 little. It's 5 lumbar, sparrow, and crow. So cervical 7, 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 little, 5 lumbar, sparrow sacral, 1 coccyx, whatever you say. So 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, 1 sacral, coccyx. Okay. Now pelvic bones. It's ilium ischium pubis. It's ilium ischium pubis. Pelvic. Pectoral is scapula, clavicle, pectoral bones, scapula, clavicle. So the scapula bones looks like this, scapula. This is a scapula bone. Where is the scapula bone present? The scapula bone, I'm drawing it. I hope you will understand the scapula bone. Now, suppose this is the neck region. I'm drawing the dorsal view. Okay, dorsal view. This is not lungs. I'm drawing the dorsal view. Right, the dorsal view. If I draw the dorsal, so in the posterior aspect, this is the posterior aspect. In the posterior aspect, we have the scapula. These triangular bones are the scapula. And where is the clavicle? Where is the clavicle present? The clavicle is, suppose, this is the clavicle. This is the manubrium sterni. Is the sternum, and this is the ribs, and here is the, like this. So this collarbone or the collarbone is also called collarbone, beauty bone, and everything. It is the clavicle. Okay. Pectoral, then hand. Hand, there is humerus, the greatest bone, humerus. 8 carpal, 5 metacarpal phalanges, radius ulna. In the leg we have 60 in the hand, 120 in leg. Phalanges, metatarsal, femur, tibia, fibula, patella. So patella is also present. Patella is in the between the. Now if I draw the patella, suppose this is the femur. This is the femur. This is the tibia. This is the patella. In the front there is the patella, and back side there is fibula. Fibula is also there. So I'm drawing this view. That means this is the view. This bone in the front is the patella. This bone in front is the patella. This is the femur, the largest bone. Right? Okay. Now the humerus and the scapula. Rotates in the glenoid cavity. Femur with the coxal bone in the acetabulum cavity. Both are ball and socket joints. Both are ball and socket. Ball and socket joints. Last slide. We come here. So ball and socket joint, shoulder and pectoral girdle. Yes. Hinge joint is knee and elbow. Knee and elbow are hinge joints. Okay. Now remembering the joints. Okay. Remembering the joints. Yeah. So for the joints, shoulder and pectoral girdle is the ball and socket. Hinge is knee and elbow. It is AAP. Atlas and axis are the pivot joints. Okay, atlas axis pivot joints. Next is in between carpal gap. So there is, suppose the mnemonic is, there is gap between two cars. So carpal joints is the gliding, right? Gliding in carpal joints. Okay. And SAD CM. It is SAD CM. Suppose a CM is SAD. Chief Minister of a state is SAD. So it is saddle, carpal and metacarpal, of which thumb joint is the saddle joint. Thumb joint is saddle joint. So saddle CM, that is saddle, carpal, metacarpal. Okay. Any other? We have discussed everything. So for you to take a screenshot, let me take it here. So you can take a screenshot from this. Yeah, from this one and these two. And these two. So I'm making it big. Done. Okay.